Hello there guys, you're listening to Ebird Online and I'm back with another review. And today we're going to be talking about 90 Day Fiancé, Brandon and Julia. So this is 90 Day Fiancé Season 8, Episode 2, Shame on You. And Julia's just arrived to the United States. But unfortunately for her, she's just realised Betty's a controller. So at the end of the video, I'm going to assess what we think of Betty's controlling ways and how this is likely to pan out for Brandon and Julia's relationship. And I just want to say thank you so much guys for all your good wishes and all the questions you've given me for my eBird Q&A. I'm working on it, don't worry, it's coming. Hopefully this week. If you've yet to submit a question, head over to my 35k thank you subscriber video and just put your question below in comments. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Join the eBird family. And also don't forget to click the bell notification so you don't miss any videos. And also smash that like button. So without further ado, I give you Brandon and Julia. So we catch up with these guys where we left off last week and they're driving to the airport. The three musketeers, Brandon, Dad and Betty the controller. And so when they get to the airport, Brandon picks up some flowers for Julia and all three of them wait in an excited huddle in arrivals. So finally Brandon spots Julia and she sees him and it was quite a nice scene. She raced over to him and she kissed him and hugged him and then kissed him again and then again and then again. Guys, they kissed extensively and embarrassingly. But the worst thing about this scene was Brandon's mum and dad were standing about 2 meters away, staring at them, not averting their eyes at all, and pretty much just waiting to be acknowledged by Julia. Wait your turn, Betty, she's busy with her beloved. In a chat to production, Julia describes Brandon as the perfect guy. Julia, enjoy it whilst you can. And she said, I think I'm in a dream. It's pretty soon going to turn into a nightmare. Let's all just wait until you realise Brandon's under the thumb. And then finally they're done kissing and caressing and she runs over excitedly and hugs Betty. And Betty said, oh my god, we've been waiting so long for this day. I can't believe it's finally here. I've barely been sleeping. Now all 4 of us can go out together instead of just the 3 of us. Welcome to the USA. And she continues, your 90 days starts right now. I think you'll find, Betty, it's going to be 45 days because they're not allowed to sleep in the same room. And then, as usual, production are a little bit naughty. And they ask of Brandon, who's the most important woman in your life? And both Julia and Betty the controller look expectantly at Brandon. And he made me laugh at this point because he just said in Russian, I don't know. And then he looked back at producers and said, I no speak English. Which I thought was a pretty slick manoeuvre. He managed to avoid offending either of the ladies. And the next time we see the Fab Four, they're arriving at a hotel in Washington DC. They're going to be spending their first night there. Brandon, Julia and his parents. And so as soon as they arrive, they're just wheeling their suitcases to their rooms and Betty said, right, let's go straight for dinner. And Julia said, well, I need 5 or 10 minutes. And Betty said, let's make that 5 minutes. I don't want to rush you, but let's just hurry up. Betty, that's rushing her. And Brandon moaned to producers, that's not fair. My mum's a cock block. And when they got into their room, they flopped onto a king-size bed and Julia said, I'm really tired. I know your mum wants to talk, but we need our time together. Guys, the hotel that they've booked is absolutely fantastic. It's so nice and it's got an amazing view of the United States Capitol Dome. And when I looked at this building, it looks almost the same as St Paul's Cathedral. I really feel it's been modelled on it because they're so similar. But it's an absolutely beautiful building and an absolutely breathtaking view. And Brandon tells production they haven't seen each other for 4 months and Julia tells Brandon she has a little surprise for him. And so they decide to spend a little time together. And of course they're late for dinner. And when they finally get back downstairs to the lobby, Betty, otherwise known as Coitus Interruptus, exclaims, where have you been? Oh, finally. And the couple look a little embarrassed. But come on, Betty. What do you expect? She's just flown around the world and she hasn't seen her boyfriend for 4 months. But Betty's absolutely beaming. She said, we're a complete family now. And I understand Betty a little bit more. I think Betty just wants her son to be really happy. And also I feel like she kind of wants a daughter-stroke-daughter-in-law. I think she's just really eager for them all to get on so well. And that's why she's kind of over the top, making sure she gets on with Julia and making sure she bonds with her. So I guess some people might see this as being overly nosy. But at this point, I'm kind of just looking at it in the sense that she's really invested in this relationship going well because she knows how much her son loves this girl. But as they sit down to eat, Betty the controller tells Julia that she must stay in her own room whilst they're staying at the farm. And as she's saying it, Julia looks absolutely dumbfounded. I don't know why Betty had to say this now. She should have let Brandon explain in his own time. And Julia looked at Brandon and said, what do you think about this? And Brandon shifted from left to right, and then he said, well, I don't like it, but, you know. And then Betty said, well, it's our house and it's our rules. And Betty, this is completely true. But it might have been nice if you let your son, Brandon, have the opportunity of crushing Julia's dreams on her first day. And then Julia asked the $64 million question, why didn't you tell me before? Oh, Julia, would you still have come? Would there have been a big problem? Would you have demanded the $10,000 in-debt Brandon, rented another apartment? I think we'll find you would. But Dad decides to butt in, and he says he wasn't being honest. And then he said, shame on you. Dad, there's no point putting 20 on 10, come on now. And then he said, you do agree with what your mother's talking about, don't you? No, he doesn't, Dad. You know he doesn't, because when you said it to him just a couple of days ago, he argued with you and told you there and then he thought that it wasn't fair. But Brandon just said, well, it sucks, but I have to accept it. But then Betty the controller said, this is only until you get married. So Julia said, what are you doing tomorrow, Brandon? Let's get married immediately. And this did make me laugh. I quite like this girl. She's got a little bit of spunk and a little bit of fire. But Betty the controller, well, she decides to double down on Julia's hell. And she said, I want to have a chat to you about birth control. No thanks, Betty. And she said, I want to make sure that you take the proper steps to make sure there are no children. You could see Julia was massively uncomfortable when she started speaking. And Julia told us straight up, this is a question for your son, Brandon. And she told production, I'm really uncomfortable with his mum asking me these questions. And guys, so would I be. As far as I'm concerned, there's two people in the relationship and there's two people that can deal with birth control. So why are you trying to put it all on Julia? And Betty explained that she'd made an appointment for her with her doctor. And Julia said, nope, I don't want to drink any medicine. And Betty said, drink medicine? What are you talking about? Oh, I see what you mean, take medicine. It sounds like something out of the Dark Ages. No, things aren't like that anymore. How are they then, Betty? It's exactly the same now as it was before. Maybe before we took a pill, one every day. And maybe now we get a little injection that lasts 3 months. But it's the same thing. The pill is tricking your body into thinking that it's pregnant all the time. It's exactly the same, and Julia doesn't want that. And then Julia said quite strangely, in 26 years I've never had any accidents about children. And Betty said, 26 years? It hasn't been 26 years, it's only been a few years. Maybe, but then maybe not. And Betty explained, things happen when you don't plan them. Let's find a way to prevent that. There's a way to prevent that, Betty. Your son wearing a condom. If you want to speak about birth control, you should speak to your son about birth control. But there is another option, of course, the withdrawal method. I hear that's pretty reliable. You're all hot and steamy, and at the very moment when nature tells you to push forth, you move in the absolute opposite direction. Yep, the withdrawal method, it never fails. There's actually a scientific name for couples that use this method. They're called parents. Oh dear, Betty's such a card. But Julia is as mad as all hell over this line of questioning. And the Ebird has a feeling that when Julia gets Brandon alone, he's going to get it. And by it, I don't mean it. And so the final time we see this couple, they're back in their room. Brandon asks, how tired are you? She's very tired of your mum, Betty the controller. But Julia's just as mad as she is tired because she's realising that she's got a man-child. In fact, she's got a boy-child. And let's look at this. The parents wanted 1, for her to go straight to dinner, even though she'd only just got off her flight. 2, they told her immediately about not being able to sleep in the same room. And then 3, they grilled her on her methods of birth control and tried to pressurise her into going to Betty's doctor. I'd feel pretty pissed off as well. Brandon, where's the support? And why didn't I know any of these things from you? And she asked Brandon, why didn't you just say no? It's none of your business. And Brandon said, I think you have a misconception about birth control. No, she doesn't. She's not stupid. Russia isn't in the Dark Ages. She knows good and well what birth control is. She doesn't want to take it. Why don't you want to wear condoms? What about that question? Why is no one speaking about that, Brandon? And then Julia said, "You should threaten to leave if we can't stay together. You should have just told your parents no." And she continued, "We only have 90 days to get to know each other. And if we're in separate rooms, that's not going to happen." And Brandon said, "Well, when we're in our separate rooms, that's when I'll be asleep. Is it bonding time if I'm asleep?" Yes, it is, Brandon. Yes, it absolutely is. Any time you spend together is bonding time. Don't pretend as soon as you go to your room, you fall asleep immediately. You have little chit chats at the dead of night about different things, and you obviously have chats in the morning. Stop being facetious now. It doesn't suit you. And Julia said, "Stop making excuses." And she said, "Well, your parents don't need to worry about me being pregnant tonight." And she intimated that he ain't getting none. And Betty the cock blocker strikes again. And that's everything for this week. So what does the Ebird make to all of this? Well, the first thing I want to say is, it's Brandon's parents' house, and what they say goes. I have to say, a lot of people have this rule. What I find so surprising is that kids don't know what their parents' rules are going to be before they actually invite somebody over. Don't you know how your parents are? It should be pretty obvious. But also Brandon was saying, well, his mum paid for her flight and she should be really grateful for all my mum's doing for her. Well, yes and no, but really, Brandon, you should be grateful too, because your mum's really doing it for you, and not necessarily for Julia. But I must say, I was right about one thing. If he'd have told her before she was coming over, who knows if she would have bothered to come. That there would have been trouble even before she arrived, and I think she would have demanded that Brandon gets a new place. And so for this couple, even though there are problems at the start, I think these two will actually go the distance. It seems as if they're really besotted with each other and really in love. And I think they're age appropriate, they're similar in terms of looks. And I think that both of them are quite young at heart. But the one thing I would say to Brandon is this: you need to tell Betty if there's anything that Julia needs to be told, I will tell her. I don't need you to explain things to her or to deliver earth-shattering news with a bright smile. And of course, Betty just thinks she's being helpful, but I've got a feeling that Julia doesn't feel helped. So yes, from all of the couples this season, I've got high hopes for Brandon and Julia. And I think that their love is actually genuine. When I first heard she's a go-go dancer and all the rest of it, I thought, oh God, here we go. But it seems like she's quite a sweet, nice and genuine girl, but she speaks her mind as well. And I think that Brandon needs somebody quite strong in his life so he can stand up to his parents. So guys, let me know down below, what do you think? The first question I want you to consider is Betty right in getting involved in the birth control so quickly? I'm not saying she could never speak to Julia, but I think she shouldn't have said it within the first 10 minutes of conversation. Also, I think that she should have been talking to Brandon and asking why he refuses to wear condoms. That's a more pertinent question. And then secondly, what do you guys think to this relationship? Do you think it's a keeper? Do you think it can go the distance? Let me know in comments down below. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It's a great time over here. And I'll see you very soon with another review. You've been listening to Ebird Online. I bid you good day.